The rain fell hard as Emily Carter stood outside the hospital doors, shaking and alone. Her phone lay dead in her hand. She had called everyone. Her sister. Her best friend. Her neighbors. The people she once helped without thinking twice. No one came. No one answered. Inside the hospital, a nurse was calling her name again, saying she needed someone with her. Emily looked around the empty parking lot and whispered, "I helped everyone, so why is no one helping me now?" Just then the doors opened wide, and something happened that made Emily's heart stop. That was how it ended up like this. But it did not start this way. Emily Carter was known as the kindest woman on Maple Street. She was 32 years old, with warm brown eyes and a soft smile that made people feel safe. If someone dropped their groceries, Emily helped pick them up. If a neighbor was sick, Emily cooked soup and brought it over. If someone needed money for gas or school lunch, Emily gave what little she had. She worked as a cashier at a small grocery store. The pay was not much, but Emily always said, "If I have enough to eat today, then I have enough." She believed that being kind would always come back to you one day. Her best friend, Sarah Miller, lived 2 houses down. Sarah often borrowed things from Emily, sugar, milk, even money. Emily never said no. When Sarah cried about her problems, Emily listened for hours. When Sarah needed a babysitter, Emily canceled her own plans. Then there was Jake Thompson, Emily's co-worker. Jake was always late to work and often asked Emily to cover his shifts. Emily agreed every time, even when she was tired. "You're a lifesaver," Jake would say with a smile. Emily felt good helping him. Emily also helped Mrs. Wilson, an old woman who lived alone. Every Sunday, Emily cleaned her house and took out the trash. Mrs. Wilson would pat her hand and say, "You're an angel, Emily." Life was not easy for Emily, but it was quiet and simple. She did not complain. She believed kindness was enough. Then small cracks began to show. One evening, Emily felt dizzy at work. The lights seemed too bright and her legs felt weak. She leaned on the counter, breathing hard. Jake noticed but only said, "Can you still cover my shift tomorrow? I really need it." Emily nodded even though her chest hurt. At home that night, she tried to call Sarah. No answer. She texted her sister, Megan Carter, who lived in another state. The message showed seen, but no reply came. A few days later, Emily collapsed in the grocery store. Customers gasped as she fell to the floor. An ambulance took her to the hospital. The doctor said she was overworking herself and needed rest. He also said they needed to run more tests. Emily was scared. She sat on the hospital bed, holding her phone, calling the people she trusted. Sarah said she was too busy. Jake said he had work. Mrs. Wilson did not answer at all. Emily went home alone that night. Still, she kept helping people. She used her savings to help Sarah pay rent. She brought soup to Jake when he said he was sick. She cleaned Mrs. Wilson's house even when her hands shook. One night, Emily woke up with sharp pain in her stomach. She could not stand. She crawled to her phone and called Sarah, crying this time. No answer. She called Jake. Voicemail. She called her sister again and again. Finally, she called 911. At the hospital, doctors rushed around her. Words like serious and emergency filled the air. A nurse told Emily she needed someone with her to sign papers and stay close. Emily tried one more time. She called everyone she had ever helped. Her hands shook as the calls went unanswered, one after another. That was when the rain started outside. Emily stood by the hospital doors, feeling smaller than she ever had in her life. The truth hit her hard and clear. She helped everyone, but no one helped her back. Then the nurse opened the door and said, "Emily, we need to talk right now." And at that moment, something happened that would change everything. Emily turned slowly as the nurse spoke. Her heart beat fast and her ears rang. The nurse's face was serious but calm. "Emily," she said softly, "the tests are back. You need surgery tonight." The words hit Emily like cold water. Surgery. Tonight. She felt weak again and grabbed the door frame to steady herself. "Will I be okay?" she asked in a small voice. "We will do our best," the nurse replied. "But you cannot go through this alone. Is there anyone who can come?" Emily swallowed hard. She looked down at her phone. Still no calls. No messages. Nothing. "I don't think so," Emily whispered. The nurse nodded and gently guided her back inside. Emily was placed on a bed, lights bright above her. Nurses moved fast. Machines beeped. She felt scared in a way she never had before. As she waited, her mind went back over her life. She remembered helping Sarah again and again. She remembered covering Jake's shifts until her feet hurt. She remembered carrying heavy bags for Mrs. Wilson even when her back ached. She remembered smiling through pain because she believed kindness mattered. Tears rolled down her face. Did I do something wrong? She asked herself. Was I too kind? Hours passed slowly. Before the surgery, a doctor came in and explained everything in simple words. Emily nodded, though fear filled her chest. She signed the papers alone. When it was time, they wheeled her into the surgery room. The room was cold and bright. The doctor told her to count backward. Emily closed her eyes, wondering if anyone would notice if she didn't wake up. When she opened her eyes again, everything felt heavy. Her body hurt. A soft beeping sound filled the room. She was alive. A nurse smiled. The surgery went well, she said. You're strong. Emily felt relief, but it was mixed with sadness. She looked around the room. The chair beside her bed was empty. No flowers. No cards. No faces she knew. Days passed. Emily stayed in the hospital to recover. Nurses came and went. They were kind, but they were strangers. Every time the door opened, Emily hoped it was someone she loved. No one came. She checked her phone often. Sarah posted pictures online, smiling at a party. Jake texted her once, asking if she could cover a shift next week. Mrs. Wilson never called. Emily finally understood something painful. Helping people did not mean they would help you back. When she was sent home, Emily moved slowly. Her house felt quiet and cold. The fridge was empty. The sink was full of dishes. No one had checked on her. For the first time in her life, Emily did nothing for anyone else. Weeks went by. Emily healed little by little. She started saying no. When Sarah asked for money again, Emily said she couldn't. When Jake asked for help at work, Emily told him she needed rest. Some people got upset. Some stopped calling. But something new began to happen. Emily started helping herself. She cooked healthy meals. She rested when she was tired. She joined a small support group at the hospital for people who had gone through hard times. There, she met kind strangers who listened and cared. One day, a woman named Linda spoke to her after a meeting. "You're very kind," Linda said. "But kindness also needs boundaries." Emily thought about those words all night. Months later, Emily felt stronger than ever. Not just in her body but in her heart. She smiled more, but she smiled for herself now. Then one evening there was a knock on her door. Emily opened it and saw Sarah standing there, eyes red. "I heard what happened," Sarah said quietly. "I'm sorry I wasn't there." Emily looked at her for a long moment. She saw the same person she had always helped. The same person who had left her alone at her worst moment. "I needed you," Emily said calmly. "And you weren't there." Sarah looked down, ashamed. Emily took a deep breath. "I forgive you," she said. "But things will be different now." Sarah nodded and left. Emily closed the door and leaned against it. She felt proud. She had finally learned her lesson. Just as she turned away, her phone rang. It was the hospital. "Emily," the voice said urgently, "we need you to come in right now. There's something important we discovered from your surgery results." Emily's heart began to race again as she grabbed her coat, not knowing that this new call would bring the biggest test of her life yet.